The past year has been one of the most insane when it comes to CS2 investing. First up, we've got the massive amount of cases that really have been unboxed this year. We're on track to have one of the biggest unboxing years in the history of the game, and if we want to look at prices, they are reaching all-time highs nearly all across the board. There's very few cases that are not close to or near an all-time high, and those are ones that just saw an all-time high a couple months ago. Your Riptide and your glove cases. The past year has been absolutely insane. If you want to look at the prices nearly all across the board, we're seeing a major amount of growth, and this is something that has been extremely interesting when we look at the dwindling supplies, which we'll focus in on here in a quick second. Now, the most important piece of information to come out of this year is definitely going to be the fact that these older, more expensive cases still have a lot of room to grow. We really thought we were going to be sitting around a $2 or $3 price point for the majority of these cases. Now they have doubled, and it seems like they're honestly on a very strong trajectory moving forward, being that people are still unboxing these at crazy rates, which means that these prices right now are almost certainly going to be going up in the near future because the demand is still absolutely insurmountable for the very few supply of cases that is left. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free $10 on your first trade. It's where I personally sell my skins because you're going to be getting the highest rate out there. They're offering a maximum amount of money in a minimum amount of time, and it's going to be nearly instant with tons of different payout options. Combine that with their massive marketplace where you're going to be able to buy anything in the entire game you're looking for with a ton of different deposit options here as well. Right now, this is the #1 place to go ahead and sell or buy skins in my personal opinion, so go ahead, use code MasterShiny and check them out today. Now, breaking down everything about the data, there's a lot to go over. First up, starting with this graph right here. This is the total amount of cases that are being consumed and the total amount of cases that are being dropped. And if you want to look at it, we can see that we've been running very closely to an even level, which would seem like a positive aspect, except it's completely different than what we used to see previously. A long time ago, we were seeing massive amount of cases dropped compared to the amount consumed. That's why we're left with such a major supply for so many of these cases. And if we want to look at it, if we dive a little bit deeper, we can see that this is very unbalanced as well. Our active duty cases are coming in at much higher levels than they're being unboxed, which makes sense. They make up 99% of the drop pool, but the 1% of rare cases right now are in a dire position. That's because there's very few of them coming in, but there's still massive amounts of them being unboxed. And that's why we're led to this situation right here, where if we want to look at it, the case supply for so many of these rare cases that you know and love has been dwindling at such an extreme rate that the prices cannot sustain it. Even at the current prices we are now, if we want to look at our even cheaper rare cases, Prisma 1, Prisma 2, Snakebite Clutch, all of these cases are still being boxed at crazy rates, which is why the prices have nearly doubled for some of these in the past year, and they're going to be continuing on this trajectory because they're still being unboxed at very insane rates. Now, what exactly does this mean for CS2 investing? First up, looking at a case like this. This is the Prisma 1 case, and as you can see on the left, we've got the supply rate of change. Every single day, we're losing on average 20,000 of these cases, and it doesn't matter how large you think the estimated supply is, they're going to run out eventually if we continue on this trajectory. And if we want to zoom out a little bit, we can see that this trajectory has only been decreasing. Now, it's been decreasing a little bit, but not anywhere close enough for these to be coming down to a sustainable rate. We're only getting on average 500 to 1,000 of these cases coming in every single day, which means we would have to drastically decrease the amount of cases we're unboxing by 95 to 97%. I don't see that happening, and right now we can see that situation unfolding when we want to look at our current prices. Now, if we want to look at our current prices for the majority of the cheaper rare cases, they actually follow a pretty similar trajectory, and the majority of them over the past couple of weeks have not seen nearly any movement at all. And this is actually not too big of a surprise because if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that the rare cases for the cheaper ones here have really had an interesting path. They have gone up in price, then they went down for a little bit, then they saw another crazy period of growth about 2.5 months to around a month ago, and for the past 3 to 4 weeks, they've really been stagnant, which is actually a really good position for the majority of these cases to be in. We don't want constant growth. Usually, if we're seeing constant growth inside of an area and the investment is not super undervalued, this means we're probably going to be seeing a bubble. And I don't think these things are crazy undervalued. Obviously, they do have a fair amount of opportunity cost with how expensive they are right now, but the majority of these cheaper rare cases and even some of the more expensive rare cases have definitely shown they're on a crazy trajectory and something that I don't think is going to be really drastically different in the near future. The majority of these cases right now are in a position where we know the future of them, but people are not capitalizing on them just yet because they look at the previous price points they used to be at. Yes, 6 months ago, this case was sitting at around $1 cheaper for the Prisma 1 case here, but I actually don't think it's still a bad investment to get into it right now. I think it's probably going to be one of the beneficial investments just because even though it is a little bit more expensive, the profit potential on this thing is very large because this case is going to be continued to unbox, and that's exactly what we're seeing all across the board is this case is still in heavy demand. Now, all of this data really leads us to one one major conclusion, and that's that these cases are still quite undervalued. If you want to look at the unboxing numbers, we can see that even our more expensive cases coming in around $4 or $5 are still extremely in demand when it comes to unboxing. Our Gammas, our Spectrums, our Wildfires, and our Revolvers, among many others that are around this price point, are still in heavy demand. They're still being unboxed at crazy, insane rate, demonstrating that we are nowhere close to why people are going to be stopping to unbox cases. There is a lot of potential on the horizon for these. People are still going to be unboxing these cases, even when we're talking about one of the most abysmal ROIs in the game. Many of these are guaranteed losses over a significant period of time because you're never going to be getting your money back, but people are still unboxing these at crazy rates, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be stopping, which is really good news for the majority of these cases because it demonstrates these price points could be a little bit undervalued. And if these price points are indeed undervalued, we're probably going to be seeing the majority of these cases coming back from this period of stagnation, which they're at right now, which is actually a really good thing. And in the next couple of months, they're probably going to be going on one of these insane periods of growth once again. It's really a consistent market of what we see, being that we see a period of stagnation, then the prices go up, then we see stagnation, then the prices go up. As long as we don't hit a bubble from hype, I think things are going to be in a very good position moving forward. And if we do hit one of these bubbles from hype, it could be a very advantageous time to sell off some of your items. We talked about it earlier, but the glove and the Riptide cases were really good examples of people just getting way too overzealous for what's happening inside of the case market. We saw that bubble. If you sold at the top, you made a lot of profit, and you could buy back in for that same exact case a little bit later for significantly cheaper. It's a huge advantage if you know the case market, and honestly, it's definitely not something I would rule out because people are just way too over interested when these cases start to get a lot of demand like that. Now, what exactly does this mean for you? If we want to look at the data, I think it's very clear to come to the realization that these case prices, generally speaking, as a whole, are not going to be getting any cheaper. Now, there may be slight dips, and honestly, if you're waiting for a slight dip, I think it's a little bit of a mistake, but generally speaking, overall, these prices are consistently showing they're only going to be going up as long as we see our current trajectories stay the same, especially when we're talking about unboxing numbers, and I think that's definitely the case. We talk about these unboxing numbers, we talk about the fundamentals of every single one of these rare cases. Overall, we're seeing a very clear trajectory, being that these people are not going to be stopping to unbox these cases. They are going to be continuing on this current path, and obviously that's going to be leading these price points to continue upwards, and it's definitely something that we're going to be able to make a massive profit off of because people are still gambling their money. At the end of the day, we're making money off the people gambling on these cases, and people are not going to stop gambling just because their odds get a little bit worse. Now, coming down to the big question, what should you be doing? First up, I would highly suggest if you're waiting to make a case investment, I would just go for it right now. The majority of these rare cases are still in a very advantageous position long term, and the biggest thing is make sure you're investing into cases that do have actual demand. They are all not created equal, and I would highly suggest you check a little bit more out about them. I've got my top 5 right here. Highly suggest you check it out. But that's all I got. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.